Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been 363 days since the Al-Aqsa flood operation, otherwise known as the events of October the 7th. So it's been almost one whole year since the genocide started, and more than 40,000 Muslims have been killed by Israel. But actually, there's a study by Lancet which suggests that the number is much higher. They have found that probably around 186,000 people have been killed due to the health industry being demolished, the fact that there's a lot of people below the rubble, below the destruction, that are unaccounted for. So this number of 40,000 is probably a very, very low estimate. It's probably inaccurate. The number is much higher. 50% of those who have been murdered by Israel are women and children. And around 1,000 of those killed, murdered, have been aid workers, health workers, or journalists. 85% of schools have been destroyed, and there are no schools, meaning there's no people going to school, no children, they're not getting an education. Half of hospitals are partially functioning out of necessity. When I say partially functioning, I mean they're destroyed, but out of necessity they are using what they have. They don't have access to water, access to fuel, access to antiseptic, all the things they need that for operations. They don't have any of that. But they're doing what they can. 1.9 million people have been displaced. Almost 90% of Gaza has been displaced. And we've seen the scenes. I don't need to say any more. These are harrowing numbers, very significant numbers. Numbers that will get worse as the genocide continues even after one whole year. But with it being 1 year since this genocide, what have we learnt? What are the lessons we can learn from it? What have we been taught through these events? Because it's important as Muslims, despite the difficulty in what we have seen, we have to take lessons from this event. This is also a test for us. We might think it's a test for them because they're going through it. But this event is definitely a test for the Ummah and Muslims and non-Muslims at large. And one of the things that we have learned from these events is that this myth of Israel being invincible, being undefeatable, these have been shattered. This isn't true. People have recognized and understood that this is not true. Israel are not invincible or undefeatable. We've been told this lie to believe that we can't defeat them, we can't take any action against them, as a Muslim Ummah I'm talking about. But the events of October the 7th actually shattered that myth, because the resistance was able to go into this area that has been occupied, and they did cause damage. And this resistance, they're not heavily armed or equipped. They're just lightly equipped, very ill-equipped, really. They don't have the resources, but they still were able to, diminish the security system of Israel. And they also showed the cowardice of Israel. With large amounts of their soldiers, they fled. They left their post. They aimed to defeat the resistance in Gaza. They said it will only take a few weeks. This operation will end in a few weeks. But it's been one whole year, 12 months, yet they are still struggling. So this lie of Israel being invincible or undefeatable has been shattered. No one believes that anymore. No one in the world believes that. Israel is a cowardice nation, and really, by and large, they are being propped up by the US, who give $330 billion of aid since the illegal establishment of Israel. The other thing that they have lost in the court of public opinion. Israel always had a level of sympathy from the non-Muslims because they would use the argument that, these people are those who suffered the Holocaust. They suffered from Nazi Germany. But this excuse, people have now recognized that the very same crimes they said was committed against them, and many were, I'm not denying this, many were, abused by, the Hitler's regime and what you had then. But what they are seeing is that those very crimes that they say were committed against them, they are now committing against another people. They are now displacing Muslims and Palestinians. They are now killing, torturing people based on who they are. These were the things that they said were committed against them. And even Jewish people recognize that Zionism is not representative of Judaism. It's not the same thing. So this is one thing that we have learnt from the events of 1 year since October the 7th. Number two, we have also learnt that the Gaza genocide has really showed us that every Israeli accusation, everything they accused us of, everything they accused the resistance of, they themselves have carried out these crimes. They say every accusation is a confession. Everything they accused us of, they were confessing to. They committed themselves. Whether that be the beheading of babies, that didn't happen on October the 7th. It has been proven. That never happened. These were lies that the media told us to create a sort of justification for them to go into Gaza and commit the genocide. These didn't happen. It's proven by the Western media. It has been proven as well. By Western studies, it's been proven this did not occur. But what do we see images of? We see images of Palestinian babies without their head. We see images of a father talking about twins he just had. Twins. He's got the birth certificate of these twins. And in 3 days' time, he's collecting the death certificates. It is not we who kill children. It's they who kill children. And it has been proven beyond doubt. It's not a claim. It has been proven. The evidence is there for all to see. They claim that we used human shields. That the resistance used human shields. They go use civilians and they fight behind civilians. This has also been proven to be a lie. And actually, they use human shields. They take the Palestinian prisoners and, take them to areas that dress them in IDF clothing and put them through tunnels so that they can see whether there is a trap there. They do this. They took a sister, a Muslim woman in hijab, in the Muslim dress. They placed her in front before they carried out the raid in Nablus. They did this. They use human shields. And recently with the attacks you saw with Iran, we saw that the Mossad headquarters is within a populated area within Tel Aviv. So it is they who are using human shields, not us. There are many more claims of rape and torture that they claimed we did. They have proven to have committed in refugee camps. And the prison where they hold the prisoners. So there are many more. If I had the time, I would say more. But number three, we have also learned the complicity of the West. Even though the crimes that the Israeli, criminal entity has committed, they are not alone in these crimes. They have committed a lot of the crimes, but we can't just blame the Zionist entity. In fact, there are many more actors behind them who have indirectly aided and allowed this genocide to occur. The Western nations led by the US, they are equally responsible for many things. Firstly, the West or the Britain, this country that we live in here today, they're the ones who founded Israel. They established Israel. We all know this. They established Israel, no? With the Balfour Declaration of 1917, Sykes-Picot, the Nakba which followed, that led to the first displacement and killing of Palestinians. They did it. It wasn't Israel. Britain did it. Then America took charge, and now America is sending billions and billions of dollars of aid. Since October 7th, they've sent $12.5 billion of aid to Israel in military aid. So in one hand, they can say, we want a ceasefire, we want it to stop. But on the other hand, they're giving $12.5 billion. You tell me, do the math. Do the maths. Do they really want the genocide to end? You tell me. Number 4, what we have also seen is the fallacy of Western values. You know, for years and decades, they told us that they are the moral act, they have the moral high ground, they have human rights, they have these liberal Western values. Every nation in the world must follow them. They are the leading moral nation. But what we have seen, what this genocide has exposed, is that all of this was a mask. The masks have fallen. The masks have fallen. You know, the values that they told us to follow, these have been buried in Gaza. They have not followed their own rules, their own values. So how can they tell us to follow these? You know, sometimes we become a bit apologetic about Islam. We think maybe Islam does need a bit more modernization, and we listen to this. We should not listen to this anymore. Islam is the truth. Islam is justice. Islam, it has the moral high ground above all of their ways. You know, we need to have that confidence in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, never will the Jews or Christians be pleased with you until you follow their faith, their way. Say, Allah's guidance is the only true guidance. And if you were to follow their desires after all the knowledge that has come to you, there would be none to protect you or help you against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now is the time for us to recognize the falsehood of their ways, their values, their systems, and really understand and recognize that Islam is superior. Our values are superior. Our systems, our ways are superior. And we have the truth and the justice and the morality. Number 5, the shamelessness and toothlessness of the Muslim regimes. There are 57 Arab and Muslim nations across the world. And not one of them have done anything to really liberate Palestine and remove the occupation. There's been some words, there's been some actions, but none of them have done enough to liberate Palestine. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the situation that we have today. Not only this, many of them have, in fact, aided Israel in continuing this genocide that has been going on for almost 1 year, which will occur on Monday. You know, Egypt, for example, has allowed Israel to use the Philadelphia corridor, the corridor on the border of the Rafah crossing. They've allowed Israel to use this, even though there are already rules and agreements in place from the Oslo Accord to say that Israel is not allowed to be here. But Egypt has allowed it. Egypt has allowed for them to stop aid going into Gaza. They have stopped Palestinians from getting security and leaving Gaza. They've stopped them. They said, you can't come out. You need to face the genocide. This is Egypt. Then you have Jordan, who has directly intercepted missiles going into Israel. They've directly intercepted. Where have they intercepted it? On top of Jordan. So these missiles are falling down from the sky, hitting their own people. This is the shamelessness of these regimes. You know, rather than doing nothing, they are actively stopping these missiles. And these missiles, and I saw a video, this missile dropping on a man, killing that man, this Jordanian man. This is what they are doing. Turkey. Many think Turkey has an Islamic leader. Erdogan, surely he's our savior. He's going to save the Palestinians. Yes, he's talked. He has said a lot. He's had mass protests. But when it comes to action, he continues to trade with Israel. He continues to support them with the economy. So Turkey is just as bad. Saudi Arabia, the land of Al-Haramain, custodian of the 2 holy mosques. Surely they are here to help us. But no, they allow the Israeli narrative to be pushed on their national media. Al-Arabiya has been exposed. That this channel has been used to promote Israeli propaganda. They are secretly holding talks with Israel to normalize ties with that criminal entity. You know, and even MBS himself said, I don't really care about the Palestinians. This is your leader of Saudi Arabia. UAE, I don't need to say any more. They've already normalized ties with Israel, and they are now working with Israel and the US for the post-Gaza plan, meaning a plan that will embed and establish Israel for the future. These are just a few examples. SubhanAllah, I could go on again for longer. But what we have learnt is that we can't rely on these regimes. You know, there's the other day, a Jordanian minister, he came and said, you know, after this genocide, what did he say? He said, I can tell you here very unequivocally that all of us, Muslim and Arab committee mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries, are willing to right now guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of an independent Palestinian state along the pre-1967 borders. What he is saying is that we are here to guarantee the security of Israel after the genocide, you know, and he's saying that we will surrender almost 80% of Palestine to Israel. You tell me, who are the real Zionists? Who are the real Zionists? A Zionist is one who is a supporter of Zionism, a person who believes in the development and protection of a Jewish nation, which is now Israel. They are Zionists. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when they meet those who believe, they say, we believe, we are with you, we believe. But when they are alone with the evil ones, they say, indeed, we are with you, we were only mocking. Number 6, Palestine is truly a unifying cause. SubhanAllah, despite the harrowing images we have seen, the heart-wrenching videos we have seen, you know, the tears that have been shed for Palestine, one of the most kind of the best things that have come out of this, even though there's very little good to come out of this, is the unity that it has caused among Muslims. One thing we have learned is that Palestine unifies the Muslims. Every single Muslim wants the liberation of Palestine. Whether you are Sunni or Shia, we want the liberation of Palestine. You know, the Houthis that have caused some problem for Israel in the Red Sea, the blockade, they are Shia. They are Shia. But we support them in their action because they are causing a thorn in the side of Israel. So this thing that they have tried to cause between us, this sectarianism, this disunity that they've tried to cause between us, what it has shown, Palestine has shown us that they don't care whether you're Sunni or Shia. They hate us regardless. They don't care whether you're Arab or a non-Arab, a Turk or a Kurd, a Bengali or a Pakistani or an Indian. They don't care. They will kill you regardless. They first went into Gaza and are committing the genocide. Now they're in Lebanon. One is a Sunni nation, the other is a Shia nation. Do they care whether you're Sunni or Shia? I'm not saying there's no differences. There are differences that we can talk about our theology. No doubt there is. But that's for another day. Now the focus and the priority is our brothers and sisters in Palestine and the disunity that we have. And finally, to end, the final thing that we have learnt, alhamdulillah, is that the only true solution to this problem is the Islamic solution. You know, after this 12-month genocide and the one that is continuing to occur, we know that the end of the occupation, the liberation of Palestine will only occur through the Islamic solution. We tried to seek aid from the UN, the ICC and the ICJ. What has occurred? Countless resolutions, rulings from the ICC, the ICJ. Have they stopped? Have they stopped? They haven't stopped. They don't care. So why are we asking for support from an institution that achieves nothing? We try to change the situation through our current Western governments, the democratic election. But what have we seen? Labour and Conservatives, they have the same stance on Palestine. It doesn't matter whether you're left-leaning or right-leaning. They both have the same stance on Palestine. They both want to secure Israel. They both think Israel has a right to self-defense. We also tried to vote for Muslim candidates. Said maybe this way, independent candidates, we can do something. What have they done? We voted. What have they done? What have they changed? Nothing. Meaning that this would achieve no change. This isn't a solution. What about giving sadaqah and dua? These are Islamic actions. We should give sadaqah to help our brothers. We should make dua. But without actual actions, dua does not achieve anything alone. Dua only is our reliance on Allah after we have done the action. Just doing dua, you would never do this for anything else in your life. Whether you're applying for a job or your exams, you wouldn't just do dua. You will take action and then do dua to Allah. So what we have learnt is that the only solution is the Islamic solution. It is to physically remove the occupation via jihad. But that jihad can only occur through a sincere Islamic leadership who represents the Muslims, not these toothless regimes who don't represent the Muslims. That is the only solution that we have. It's taken us 12 months of a genocide to really learn as a ummah. May Allah defeat the enemies of Islam. May Allah make us from those who work to bring about the true Islamic leadership, who will bring an end to the occupation and liberate Palestine once and for all. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.